Okay, so before you make the armature, you need to decide what type of turtle you're going to make, such as a sea turtle. A sea turtle has flippers for his legs or for what you would call his hands and feet, and he has a low profile body. In other words, the body isn't as high as that of a land turtle who predominantly lives on land. The river turtle has a similar body profile, which is low, enabling them to skim through the water more freely. However, the river turtle has a combination of the land and the sea turtle's legs. So he has a slightly thicker flipper type leg than the sea turtle with claws on the end, whereas the land turtle has rather large, thick legs or arms and legs with claws for feet. So there's the difference. Before you make your armature, research what type of turtle it is you're going to be making. And it's always a great idea if you're selling them at markets to have all three with a little explanation, or put a board up, because say you've only made one of each to take to your market stall, or you may have taken a lot and some of them get sold and you've only got two turtles there. If you have a little sign explaining the different types of turtles, then everybody learns something. Okay. So I explained to you about the different types of turtles, just the three main types, which is the sea, the river, and the land turtle, and the difference in their feet and their body height. And so now we're going to be talking about armatures. The armature I'm talking about today is a sea turtle with flippers, and you can just make that out of alfoil. It's important that when you are putting the cement on, that you put cement on the underbelly section of the turtle first and allow that to dry, because you need to turn it over and put all the flippers and the tail and the head and the neck on top of the belly, so that then when you place the shell, the outer shell of the top of the body, you place it over the top. And that's why with each of the flippers and the neck, etc., I've got a little pointy piece. Where the tail's concerned, I've got a wider piece that sits in on the underbelly, so that when you put the top piece on, all those pieces are in place, and then you start to cover it in cement. You can choose to make them also with a wire armature, but you would only do this if you were going to make like a really big turtle, say about 40-50 millimeters long. And how high that would be, you'd need to research your different types of turtles that you're making to know how high the wire armature should be. I don't particularly like that method, and I certainly wouldn't be using it unless I was making one about 600 millimeters big. The alfoil is fine for anything up to about 30-40 centimeters long. The other thing that you have to always remember is that cement and alfoil do not like each other. The cement is going to eat away at the alfoil. Oh, in other countries it's called aluminum foil or aluminium foil. It's a cooking foil that we use in our kitchen. You need to make sure that you surround the outer edges with concrete, and that needs to be bare minimum 4 millimeters thick around the outer edges of the alfoil, so that like you're making a case around the armature, so that when all of the alfoil or the wire is all eaten away in a few years' time, that the cement is solid all the way around and then becomes hollow in time. Sometimes it can take up to 10-15 years for this to happen, but slowly from about day 21 onwards, and I've even seen it happen from day 3 when I've been making things in progress, that the cement starts to eat at the alfoil. So you need a good solid case of cement or concrete around your armature. So in the previous slide, I showed you a wire armature of a land turtle. Now, you don't really need to have wire armatures if your turtles are going to stay between maybe 20 centimeters long and smaller than that. You can just use the alfoil armature. But if you are going to make that wire one that I showed you, don't use chicken wire, because you're going to need to put 2 to 3 layers of this on because of the spacing between. Go for the finer mesh wire, like over here on my right. I think it'll be on your right as well. Let's talk about the mixture. So for that size turtle that I made, it ended up being about, I think it's 15 centimeters, 150 millimeters long in total, and then I sat him on a rock. I used 1 cup of cement, 2 cups of sand, and 1 tablespoon of lime. You mix those dry ingredients together very well before you start adding water. And then you just stir in the water slowly. Make sure you're wearing a mask and just keep adding the water until you've got like a dough-like consistency. Always tap the structure a little bit to get the bubbles out once you've coated it. And there you have it. So I sat my sea turtle on a stone that I picked up down the beach, slathered a bit of concrete on top of the stone after spraying the stone with some water. Then I sat my underbelly, put the pieces in for his arms, legs and tail, and you can see even though the armature was quite big for the tail, it's only a tiny little tail down here. And just pucker up the cement. Leave it for about 20 minutes to an hour, because in this case I used white cement. You can use quickset cement if you're a person who is one of those people who make things very quickly. Then you can put these little shapes into the body with a little metal spoon end or a pencil, pen, whatever you like, and just press them in to make the shapes. And that's all there is to it. You just put the cement. I usually get a handful of cement out of the bucket, and I've got gloves on, and just pat it and then pat it on to the armature and just do that all over the body and then come and make the shapes. Because I'm using white concrete, I usually leave it about an hour before I start coming back and pushing in these little shapes that he has in his shell. Then after about 2 or 3 days, you can paint them. The concrete certainly won't be set completely. It takes up to about 21 days for it to set. On YouTube, I've seen a lot of people covering it and trying to keep it soft and moist. They must live in a very dry area. Here on the Gold Coast, it is very hot, especially in the summertime. So I do spray when I'm finished, not straight away after I've put the cement on, but maybe an hour or so later I'll come out and I'll just spray it with some water. I don't like the idea of laying wet towels and things on it because concrete's very heavy, not like clay where clay holds its shape. Concrete wants to gravitate towards the ground and flatten out. And so by putting things on top of your concrete structures or statues, they're going to flatten out more than they should and change shape a bit. They're going to do that anyway, even if you don't cover them. But just be mindful, it may not be necessary. Start with a very, very small one, like one about 10 centimeters long, and test it. Make that your test piece. This was my test piece because I hadn't made one for over 70 years. And so the old brain, I had to think, oh, how did my family show me how to do this? And I don't always remember straight away, but I can get halfway through a project sometimes and go, I should have done this, I should have done that. And then the memory bank kicks in and starts to come back. So have fun. I'll put the description down below. Sometimes I forget, then I have to go back a few days later and put it in. I love comments and questions, and you can ask me questions in the comment section. You can give me hints and tips in the comment section. And if you give me a like, it helps other people learn from my experience. And we all have fun. Have a great day. Be blessed. Bye.